Hey guys, welcome back. In this video, we're going to talk about all of the different kinds of mobs that you'll find throughout the game on the various maps. And then you'll also be seeing short clips of each of them and getting to see what they look like and what a lot of their attack patterns look like. I won't be doing too much talking throughout this entire video. Whenever we get to a new type of mob, I'll give a brief rundown for its name and a couple other facts about it depending on the mob. But other than that, it's just going to be for your viewing pleasure. Hope you enjoy. Alright, the first mob in this is going to be a Goblin Bruiser. The Goblin Bruiser has a normal, an elite, and a red version. Each of them is going to have a one-handed sword, and the difference is going to be between the regular Bruiser and the elite Bruiser. The elite will be wearing more armor, and then of course between the big red and the elite one, it's going to be big and red, pretty self-explanatory. Each of these versions is going to have an unblockable charge attack, and then also an unstoppable leap attack. The biggest difference between the regular Bruiser and the next two variations, the regular Bruiser does not cause any status affliction, but the next two will cause a hemorrhage buildup. Alright, up next is going to be the Goblin Assassins. There's going to be a regular assassin, an elite assassin, and a red assassin. These goblins wield 2 daggers, and will do 2 to 3 hit combos where they just kind of leap forward at you while they're hitting. I also believe they have a jump attack that they do, but in each of the different mobs that I found, I could not get them to use that attack, so I can't actually guarantee that that's real. Big difference between the regular version and the elite and red version is that the normal version does not cause any status affliction. The next two will cause poison buildup. Alright, for the ranged variation of a goblin, it's called a Goblin Bomber. There are 3 variations to this one as well. biggest difference between the 3 variations is that each of them has a little bit different of an attack pattern. I think each one has an extra attack animation. The third one, being the red bomber, actually throws a pumpkin bomb. Alright, the next family of mobs that we're going to be talking about are all the skeletons. The base skeleton is exactly what you would expect when you hear the word skeleton. Very basic attack patterns, nothing special about this guy at all. His elite version wears a raggedy shirt, and his attacks will actually cause disease buildup. A fun tidbit about every single skeleton in this family is that all of them have a screaming animation where they just kind of stop and yell at you. You'll see with just about every single clip in the skeleton family, they all kind of stop and yell, which gives you an opening to get an attack in or create space. Up next is a sword skeleton. As the name suggests, it's a skeleton just with a sword. Its attack animations are going to be just a little bit different. Deals a little bit more damage than a regular skeleton. The elite sword skeleton is going to be wearing extra armor. It's pretty cool, honestly. And then there's a big red version of it that looks exactly the same as the elite, but again, it's just big and red. They inflict a lot more damage, also have unblockable attacks, and have a lot more lunge and thrust based combos as well. Now we're going to be dealing with the shield skeletons. These guys love keeping their shield up. It's a big pain for the classes that have trouble hitting through block pips. They have one unstoppable attack, which is just a straight thrust forward. The rest of the attack animations are pretty similar to a sword skeleton. The elite version of this guy is going to look very similar to a sword skeleton with its armor, just again has a shield. Same with the red variation. For whatever reason, I didn't get a clip of a red variation of a shield skeleton, so just so that you can see what it looks like if you couldn't imagine a sword skeleton with a shield. Here it is. I'm killing it real quick as I'm preparing to fight another mob for later in the video. Bow skeletons are generally pretty weak, but they do have one interesting thing about them. Usually when you run up on them, they have a very instant quick attack that they do, where it just is an immediate shot. It's kind of funny. It's also kind of irritating if you're just trying to run by them real quick and they just do a quick shot on you. The difference between the regular bow skeleton and an elite is that the elite will have more armor just like the others do. Interestingly enough, the red version of an elite bow skeleton is not really red, but has a bigger size as the others do, and also a horned helmet, not just a regular helmet. Alright, and two skeletons that are unique to the night map. Spear skeletons. You have your regular version, which has a lot of long-range thrusting attack combos, and some pretty cool looking armor. They really, really love using their shield. The only visual difference between the two variations of this mob are the size and the bone color, skin color. The differences in attacks is that there is one specific attack that I've only ever seen the red version do. This clip is a little bit longer than the other one just because it takes a while for me to get the mob to act exactly like I want it to. There's a specific attack where it will lift its spear right above its head and then slam it down into you if you're within melee range and pin you into the ground. Alright, and what is arguably one of the easiest to kill but most dangerous of the skeleton mobs is the Mage Skeletons. The regular version has two different attacks that it does. It will either create a lava pool on the ground, kind of about where you're running towards, or it will shoot a volley of fireballs at you. It does have a melee attack as well. Now the big elite version of the Mage Skeleton is actually quite dangerous if you don't keep it locked down. Instead of a fireball volley, it uses a pyroblast, and then when you're in close enough range, it actually uses a fire breath spell. It still also uses the same flame patch attack as the regular, smaller version, however it's a larger patch on the ground. I left this clip longer for good reason. I actually ended up dying against this mob just to prove a point that it is very, very dangerous. And if you get stuck in an attack or you get stuck up close or just continuously getting hit by this guy, he deals a lot of damage very quickly. Another skeleton mob that is unique to the night map are the Necromancers. There's a regular elite version and then a bigger red version. The smaller version really just shoots skeleton projectiles at you and then has a melee attack as well if you get close enough. The bigger elite version. The bigger variation actually has a couple extra attacks. Very similar to a wizard, uses a lightning circle effect. It doesn't cause silence, however it does cause continuous stasis buildup. And then unique to this variation, you don't see it too well right there, but if you look back in the back, it summoned extra skeletons. It will summon about 3 extra skeletons of lesser quality variations and different types. Now for the warrior's favorite mob, wolves. Generally, these guys are pretty easy to deal with. They have a lot of leaping attacks and are also one of the only mobs that actively evades away from your attacks. The variation that I dislike the most is actually the elite version. It's a slightly bigger white wolf. It has an unstoppable attack pattern where it leaps at you about 3 to 4 times and then leaps directly back. I can catch you off guard if you're not paying attention. The big elite version of this is actually kind of lackluster compared to the regular elite version, but the big difference, of course, is going to be the damage, and its lunge distance is much, much farther. Now we get to talk about everybody's most hated class, the Rogues. No, these are actually just bandits. They have a lot of similarity to Rogues, of course. Obviously, they're unique to the night map. They also use stealth animation, so you'll be constantly running around in the night map hearing these guys stealthing, so it will confuse you quite often. You'll get used to it though. The regular bandit has a couple attack patterns that aren't really all that much. The biggest thing that they'll do is a cheap shot, and then they'll also steal something out of your inventory, which you can't get back by killing them. And then the elite bandit, the difference between these two, other than size, an elite bandit is going to have two shields. He's going to have one on both arms. The regular one was carrying around a bag. Other than that, their attack patterns are pretty similar. This one can also do a cheap shot combo, and these guys are one of the only other mobs that actively will try to evade your attacks. Unique to the crypts is the eyeballs. There are 3 different variations of this. I only show 2 just because sometimes I really can't notice the difference between a small one and I guess the second variation, which is slightly bigger, and then there's going to be a giant one. They all basically do the same kind of stuff where they teleport around at you and do a little AoE burst. They also use a eye beam, which will cause stasis buildup. And then the bigger variations can teleport you from one location to another, so you'll have to be careful about that. Very similar to a wizard's time snap. Banshee mob is going to have two variations. It's going to be unique to the Crypt and the Night map. The first variation is just going to have purple hair. It's going to have two attack patterns really, where it will lunge at you if you're too far away, or it'll use a melee-based attack. Whenever it's low health, it'll start this spinning animation. It's basically kind of like a full heal ability that you can silence or just have the DPS race it out of. Elite version is going to have red hair and be holding a bunch of voodoo heads, and will use a very spooky looking unblockable attack. This variation will also do the exact same thing as the regular variation, and I don't know if it's like this with every single one of these mobs in their different locations, but they reset randomly and easily, depending on if you can stop that animation, but also just sometimes they just reset weirdly. I might be doing something wrong, but as far as what I've seen, it just happens. Now it's time for the quote-unquote mini-bosses of the maps. The Wraith is not unique to any map. There is one on all three maps currently. It's not too terribly difficult to fight once you understand the combos. If you're in melee, it can do a combo of 2 to 3 attacks depending on how long you stay within range. It has an unblockable charge attack that it will do. It also has an unblockable attack where it will send skeletons that will seek you out. And then it also has a ranged attack where it will kind of throw its lantern down into the ground and shoot skeletons out in a circle around it. As well as an attack where it will, if you are far enough in range, it will teleport to your location. The second mini-boss is going to be animated armor. This mob is unique in the way in which it has 3 different phases and will change up its attack patterns based on the phase that you're in. The first phase, it has a shield. It will use a hook ability very similar to a warrior and will do a single slice attack with its sword. You'll notice that it changes phases whenever it gets stunned and a big shatter sound goes off, and then when the second phase starts, it drops its shield. It'll still do the hook attack, but then its combos will increase to where it's now doing 2 attacks with its sword. There's also an unblockable whirlwind attack that it will do. I was just unfortunately only able to get it to go off at the end of the second phase and then right at the end of the third phase, so you'll only catch a little glimpse of it here, I think. Alright, in its third phase, now its attacks go from 2 to 3 hit combos, and it also is gonna lunge at you. Perhaps the most farmed out of any of the mini-bosses is the Ogre. The Ogre has very predictable attack patterns, and there aren't very many of them. The biggest thing is that they all hit like a truck, and if you mess up too much on any of the squishier classes, it can kill you. Most of the time it's easier to actually just dodge forward through the mob instead of jumping backwards, because then you're still going to be within its attack range. And despite the animation looking like it's doing a full swing around its body, it's actually only swinging in front of it, so if you dodge through it and it's doing those motions, it won't actually hit you while you're behind it. Once you get the timing down, the roar that the Ogre is about to do is fairly easy to dodge. If you don't, it will cause you to be snared, which you'll see here in a second. While this fight is ending, I do want to point out there are 2 other mobs that I did not show in this video. One is currently labeled as a boss. You'll notice there's also a weekly quest to kill it, and that is Morthog. He is basically just an ogre, but super big. That fight is pretty difficult to do solo, pretty difficult to do with people until you learn the animations, and even then if you get hit, it's easy to just accidentally screw up. You can only find him in the night map. It's labeled on the map. You just run down there and you light the fire and you fight. Easy peasy. The other mob worth mentioning that is not in this video, there is a small blue goblin that's called a gemling, and he is found by destroying objects like barrels and crates throughout the map. It's a rare spawn that will spawn after you've destroyed any of those breakable objects, and it will carry loads upon loads of treasure and rings. You'll notice it immediately upon it spawning because it will start kind of just whimpering and running around. It's blue and small. It doesn't actually attack you back, it just runs around trying to evade your attacks. It's very similar to a treasure goblin from Diablo if you're familiar with that. Alright, and I've saved arguably the worst mob in the entire game for the very end. You guessed it, spiders. The little spiders? The worst ones, absolutely. It's not the damage they cause, it's just how quickly they hit. They're small, they're unpredictable, their lunge always catches you off guard, and these guys cause poison affliction like crazy. This one attack that I just got hit by, 60%. One hit. Get hit by that twice, get 2 spiders on you, you got poison affliction. It's crazy. I mean, you see it. I just got resilience proc. This mob is a bigger joke than me pretending like I can be telling you guys how to play this game. They can shoot webs. The higher variations, there's just a bigger spider, and then there's a giant red spider. They can shoot toxic poison at you too. I actually find the big red version the easiest to handle just because it's not small and you can hit it very easily. But the small spider, horrible. It's the worst. In fact, if they removed it from the game, I don't think anybody would be upset. Alrighty guys, that about wraps up that entire video. I ended up talking a lot more than I said I was going to. Oops, I like to yap. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please like and subscribe to continue seeing the videos that I'm going to keep putting out for this game. And while you're at it, go pop on over to Twitch, give me a follow, and keep up with me as I stream the game occasionally. See you later.